Which language are you comfortable with?
Sir, English.
English. Tell me something about yourself, Aaditya.
Sir, my name is Aaditya Sharma. I belong to District Pune. Sir, I did my graduation, which was MBBS, from Government Medical College and Hospital, Chandigarh. I play basketball, I have a keen interest in neurology, and maintain 2 blogs. Sir.
Maintain?
2 blogs, sir.
Blogs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aaditya, a lot of disturbance has been happening in Manipur. Can you tell the panel about what is going on, what is the issue?
So actually, there was the issue of granting the ST status to the majority community, which was the Meiteis there, which was frowned upon by the other communities because they thought that it would eat into their reservation pie. So, sir, that is why the uprising is happening in Manipur, sir.
Okay. So, what are the repercussions? What currently is going on there?
Sir, a team of the Rapid Action Force has been installed in Manipur and various.
No. My point is, what action has been taken or what nuisance has been created by the locals of Manipur? What is going on there?
Sir, a lot of destruction of property and lives is happening in Manipur at the moment. So, because of which the government had to employ a large amount of paramilitary there. So, this would lead to political instability in the state, which might extend to other states as well, sir. So, it needs to be nipped in the bud right now.
Have you heard that this violence is actually spread to some other parts of the country as well? Any recent disturbances other than Manipur, which has taken place in some other parts pertaining to this issue?
So, I'm not aware of this case.
So, has it affected the entire state of Manipur, or there are some particular districts which are being affected by it?
Sir, I have heard that and read that it has spread majorly to the Imphal city. Sir, a friend of mine is posted as a medical officer in CRPF there. So, sir, he tells me that the violence has taken place there, sir.
Okay. So, what is the rationale behind this Meitei community's demand for an ST status? There must be some rationale behind it.
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the exact rationale, sir.
Are you aware of the Lormor recommendations pertaining to ST?
Sir, I'll go and read about it, sir.
So, if you are, say, DC of Imphal, right, and this sort of violence is broken out, so what steps are you going to ensure that the harmony is maintained?
So, in the short term, I believe there should be reassurance to all the communities that.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. I want a chronological, step-by-step action plan you, as a DC of Imphal, is going to take when such an incident is taking place.
Sir, first step would be certainly to involve the paramilitary and the army to control the spread of the violence and to improve the lives of the people living there.
Mm-hmm.
So, second would be creating awareness about and reassuring the communities that nothing substantial would happen in this regard. So, third would be setting up a committee to look into the demands of the Meitei community and see whether they are eligible demands or not, sir. And so finally, I believe in the long run, sir, social sector interventions like education and improving the health of the people, sir, and so setting up new institutions of education, I think, sir, that can play a role in reassuring the communities, sir.
Something is going on in Sudan as well. So are you aware of that issue? What is going on in Sudan?
Yes, sir. So there is a civil war that is happening in Sudan, sir. It was, sir, due to the starting of the deployment of the army there, sir. So some communities are pro it and some are not pro it, sir.
Deploying of the army in terms of?
So in terms of, sir, administration as well as security, sir.
Has a coup happened there?
Sir, I have to read about it, sir.
Okay. Anyhow, carry on.
Sir, so this is the issue, sir, and India has started Operation Kaveri to bring back its citizens from Sudan.
Do you see any particular place or state or regions in India where a similar sort of situation can arise?
Sir, coup I don't think can
No,
arise.
not the deployment of forces and backlash of people.
Sir, maybe this can arise in the Jammu and Kashmir region after the abrogation of Article 370 because some communities may not be very comfortable with that. And so the effect of Pakistan also can never be ruled out there. So also it might occur in some northeastern states as well, sir. But for example, sir, in Arunachal Pradesh where the Chinese influence has increased to some extent.
Recently, World Bank has appointed Ajay Banga as the chief. Are you aware of it?
No, sir, I haven't heard about it, sir.
Aaditya, there's an act or a law by the name of Prohibition of Money Laundering Act. Do you know its provisions?
Sir, I know, sir, about the PMLA Act, but I will have to read its provisions in greater depth, sir.
Are you aware of the National Security Act?
NSA. Yes.
Recently, there's been a lot of disturbances in Punjab and a lot of people have been arrested. And NSA has been involved from there. So, are you aware of it?
Yes, sir.
So, please tell the panel about it.
Sir, Amritpal Singh and his accomplices, they had created the rise of the Khalistan issue in Punjab again, which led to the deteriorating law and order in the state, which could have led to a national internal emergency as well, sir. So due to that, sir, after Amritpal Singh was recently captured, he and his 4 accomplices had been booked under the NSA Act and they have been shifted to the Assam jail, sir.
Okay. Which particular place in Assam?
Sir, I don't know which particular place.
You said that has re-emerged, the Khalistan issue has re-emerged. So what exactly is the Khalistan issue?
Sir, the Khalistan issue, sir, it arose earlier in the 1971. So when the Shiromani Akali Dal was losing the elections, and sir, in order to gain some political traction, sir, this movement started. So there was also
by Shiromani Akali.
Sir, not by them, sir, but it was a little bit fostered by them, sir, and ultimately it grew into the Khalistan movement, which nobody wanted, sir. Sir, so there was also, sir, the issue of the lack of employment and, sir, lack of economic opportunities during that time, sir. And, sir, during the Operation Blue Star, sir, what happened was that there was an attack on the Golden Temple. Sir,
Attack on the Golden Temple?
Sir, not attack per se, sir, but that was actually an intervention that was done by the government, but that was not seen in good light by the Punjabis, and there was some sentiment, the Sikh sentiment that was heard, sir. So that led to the rise of the Khalistan movement under Jarnail Singh Bhindranwala. So ultimately it was countered by Operation Black Thunder 1 and 2. But now, so recently, as we have seen, the farmers protest some elements. They tried to give it a little Khalistani element to it, which was not seen in good light by us as well, and the Republic Day incident that happened. But sir, I don't think that it is a very long-standing issue, and sir, it will soon peter out by itself, sir.
What was the Republic Day incident that happened?
Sir, the national flag was pulled down, and sir, in place the Khalistan flag was pulled up, sir.
Was it the Khalistan flag or the Nishan Sahib?
Sir, it was the Nishan Sahib, sir. But that was done by those elements, sir.
So I was going through your DAP and I understand you come across a new word here, horology, which happens to be your hobby. I would like to hear more about this.
Horology is the science and art of making and understanding wristwatches. I predominantly like the mechanical watch segment as to how it works, what are the different companies that make mechanical watches and so on.
Tell me more about the companies that are doing mechanical watches.
For example, there was HMT. I myself am wearing an HMT Jatta, which I really like. So how the HMT failed in its scenarios, the Seiko watches that are making the mechanical watches, Citizen mechanical watches, and how the jewels inside the watches work, and so on.
How are these mechanical watches different from something contemporary that's available in the market? Or all watches are mechanical? How is it?
No, the mechanical watches, they use only the mechanical movements. For example, first there is the setting crown, then there is the mainspring which stores the power, followed by the wheel train, and then the balance and the escapement mechanism. Whereas there are other watches which are quartz in nature, they run on batteries, And now recently, automatic watches have come that do not require winding, and they just wind themselves based on the motion of the hand.
How did you get interested in horology, and what kind of what is it satiating in you? What makes it a fulfilling hobby for you?
When I was young, I used to visit my grandfather. He had 2 HMT watches, both were mechanical. So when I used to see them, I really liked the satisfying tick-tick sound that the watches made. So I started researching about them as to how they work, and now it has become a lifelong passion for mechanical watches.
Okay. How is a horologist different from someone who is collecting watches or is fond of having a lot of watches?
A horologist is one who wants to understand how the watch works. Rather, a watch collector is one who collects watches based on their economic value and how they might rise or fall in the future.
Okay. Have you heard of there is a therapeutic technique also people using these days? They are using watches in some kind of healing therapy, and like we have Reiki and other things. Have you heard anything about it?
I haven't heard about it, but I believe, because the monotonous sound of the watch, it can really help us in impacting our brain waves that come, and it can help us in relaxing and calming ourselves. Even I myself like the tick-tick sound of the watch, and it helps me to relax myself.
Okay, so your interest lies in horology in the mechanical aspect of it, whereas when it comes to your degree, you are a doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
There's very little mechanical about it. So where does these two things, your degree and your interest, where do they converge?
Well, I believe they converge in the aspect of discipline because ma'am, daily when we wake up and we wind our watch, it helps us to set a routine for ourselves, ma'am. Also, ma'am, the watch mechanism, when we open it up, ma'am, we can diagnose where the watch issue occurs in the same manner that we diagnose patients. So I think, ma'am, in these two aspects they converge.
Okay. And you are also, one of your hobbies is hiking,
Yes, ma'am.
right? How is hiking different from trekking?
Ma'am, hiking is generally a little lighter as compared to the trekking. It does not require so much specialized gear as trekking, ma'am. And hiking is also done over shorter distances as compared to trekking.
Okay, which was the last hike that you took, and tell me a little more about that?
Ma'am, the last hike that I did was, ma'am, to the Brigu Lake in Old Manali. Ma'am, it was a very good and a satisfying experience. It helped me to introspect and retrospect myself, meet new people, improve my communication, and ma'am, it was overall. I also got to see snow at the higher altitude, so it was a really great experience for me.
Tell me a little geographically about from where did you start and what were the main, what track did you take, what were the villages that you had come across, where did you stay?
Ma'am, I'm not aware of the exact villages because ma'am, from the start of the trip to the end, there were no villages per se, there were only temporary campsites.
Okay.
Ma'am, we first reached New Manali and then on to Old Manali where there was one base camp. And then one night we trekked and ma'am, a little upwards, after a day of trekking, there was another base camp. And finally the next day ma'am, we reached the summit, the Brigu Lake, which was the frozen lake, and then we came back the same day to the second base camp. And next day ma'am, we came down and stayed in camps.
It was a 2 day.
Yes, ma'am.
2 days. So would you call it a hike or a trek?
Ma'am, I would still call it a hike, ma'am, because trekking, we did not have to use any specialized gear like poles and sticks and ma'am, some solid boots. So I think it was a hike for me.
And you have played basketball at inter-college level?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I can see that you have multiple hobbies and you're a qualified doctor, and what I understand of your profession is that it needs a lot of time and it involves a lot of labor. So how have you been managing so many hobbies, maintaining blogs and medicine and all that? What's the secret of
Ma'am, I believe even in the services we will be very busy and we will not have time. But we will have to take out time for the hobbies, ma'am, because it helps in our all-round growth and keeping ourselves calm, ma'am.
I agree, that's future. How have you been doing it?
Even in the college also, ma'am, like our college ended at 5 o'clock. So after that, ma'am, we used to have a daily game of basketball. In the night, I used to work on my blogs, ma'am. And ma'am, Saturdays were half days and Sundays were fully off. So that days were also utilized in my hobbies, ma'am. In the internship also, ma'am, after a 24-hour shift, the next day is off from 8 to the next morning. So on that day also, after sleeping, when I wake up, I used to indulge in my hobbies, ma'am.
I see. And what are your blogs about?
Ma'am, I maintain 2 blogs. Ma'am, one is on wristwatches, and ma'am, the other one is on the daily experiences that I find worth sharing. Ma'am, the last one I wrote was when I visited my friend who is posted as a medical officer in Kaniyol Bagra near Karsob in district Mandia. I stayed with him for a week and I wrote about my experiences.
What is your greatest take home from that trip?
Ma'am, since he is posted as a doctor, ma'am, I visited him in the OPDs and I sat with him also. Ma'am, I saw that the primary health infrastructure really needs to be revamped now because he does not have an ultrasound machine, he does not have an ECG machine to diagnose basic cardiac disorders, ma'am. The drugs, only a few drugs were present, ma'am. For most of those things, people have to move from Kaniyol Bagra to Karsob, which is a 2-hour distance, ma'am, and the public transport only goes once a day. So I saw that these were the issues there, so these need to be worked upon.
Do you think the district administration is not doing enough?
Ma'am, it is doing, but ma'am, I believe that more needs to be done about it.
Okay. You have written in the last one line is bigger purpose. Just to quote unquote, the ground level realities of my ancestral village and the communication skills gained through the interaction with the patients. Skills gained by the time with the patient will serve the bigger purpose. I want to know the bigger purpose.
Ma'am, the bigger purpose is, ma'am, expanding the social satisfaction of maximum number of people possible, ma'am. Even as a doctor, ma'am, we can provide satisfaction to people. But ma'am, as we know, prevention is better than cure. As a doctor, ma'am, I can cure but not prevent. Most of the diseases that occur in the hospital, ma'am, around 50% of them can be prevented. Most of them are due to unsanitary practices, infectious diseases, drinking poor quality of water. Ma'am, so if as an administrator we take steps to control that, ma'am, then the patient load can be reduced and ma'am, a broader purpose can be served.
Okay. So if you were so clear about the broader purpose, why did you waste a seat in MBBS? You were very clear that you wanted to serve a broader purpose and you were preventive in your perspective and you always wanted to be on the other side of the policy making, then
Ma'am, actually before my graduation I was not aware of the civil services. And ma'am, during my graduation I realized that health is only one of the many deprivations present in society. As an administrator I could expand to sectors like education, sanitation, even women empowerment, ma'am. During the COVID pandemic also we noticed there was a growing association between the doctors and the administrators, and ma'am, at times there was some miscommunication between the two. And I also had been inspired by Dr. Nipun Jindal, who is a passer from our college, currently the district collector of Kangra, and he did phenomenal work during the COVID pandemic, ma'am. So all in all, ma'am, it made me believe that the civil services would provide me with a more broad, diverse and a dynamic opportunity to serve the nation and the state, ma'am.
how being a doctor is going to be an add-on to you being a civil servant?
Now, apart from the technical expertise in the sphere of health, I believe the qualities of empathy, objectivity, pragmatism and clinical precision that I have gained during my UPSC curriculum, and that will be useful anywhere in the services, ma'am.
Over to you.
Alright, Aaditya, you belong to Una district.
Yes.
Which part of Una district?
Ma'am, Kotlapur village, ma'am, Tehsil.
Tehsil.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Himachal government has selected Una to be developed as green corridor. Will you elaborate on this?
Ma'am, I cannot recollect about the green corridor, though I am aware of the drug park that has recently been started.
Drug park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me about the drug park.
The drug park is being started under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers by the Union of India, and they have selected the Tehsil Haroli in Una as a site, and they have granted rupees 1900 crore for the same. And ma'am, it aims to reduce our import of API from abroad, and ma'am, it also aims to create around 30,000 jobs for Himachal Pradesh.
For Himachal Pradesh. And where is the pharma hub of Himachal Pradesh?
Ma'am, it is the Solan Nalagarh Broti wala.
Malabar. And the drug park has been, it will be establishing in Una district.
Yes.
Don't you think that it would be better if this drug park would be established in Nalagarh, the same pharma hub only?
Ma'am, I believe it has already been saturated with a lot of pharma companies, and ma'am, diversification of our pharma hub can lead to increased investment elsewhere as well, ma'am. So I think that it is a very good step that, and it is also close proximity as well. So we can improve our ma'am economic linkage and spread the development to other parts of the state as well.
Various industrial corridors have been developed under this national manufacturing policy or in this Make in India project. Can you name that industrial corridor where in that Una district will be included?
Ma'am, there are industrial hubs in Mehedpur, in Amp, in the Great, and ma'am, recently a new industrial hub, Thatal, in Tehsil, Amp, is also being going to start now. So,
these are the industrial hubs which have been recognized by the state government. I'm talking about a union government project that we have various industrial corridors. Are you aware of those industrial corridors?
no.
So you need to read about the industrial part of it. Okay. So besides this small medium enterprises, what is this other unique feature of Una district? Una district is famous for what all reasons?
Ma'am, Una district is famous for tourism and the temples that are present, ma'am. We grow a large amount of wheat and ma'am, other food crops for agriculture. Ma'am, otherwise the upper part of Himachal mainly focuses on horticulture. And ma'am, now the MSME industry and the small industrial belts are also starting up in Una.
So there is a project called dragon cultivation in Una district.
Sorry, ma'am, I'm not able to.
Alright. So Himachal, present CM of Himachal is aspiring to make Himachal a green state by 2025. What all steps they have been proposed for that?
Ma'am, first we will move towards sustainable tourism as per the Himachal Pradesh Sustainable Tourism Policy 2019. And second, there is a push for more electric vehicles in Himachal Pradesh. The Chamba district has started off with a pilot project for electronic vehicles. And ma'am, third, I believe we are taking steps to prevent deforestation and improving the forest rights. So ma'am, also to decrease pollution as well.
For that, what all charging stations and what all steps have been taken? Do we have some Swaranjanti energy policy for that?
Yes ma'am, we have, but I am not aware of the intricacies of the state.
So your home district is facing a lot of challenge from the border state called Punjab, and that challenge is drug challenge. What do you think? What are the major reasons for it?
But first, like you mentioned, it is the proximity with Punjab and Kashmir, and the Golden Crescent, which pumps the drugs into Una. And second is the growing unemployment overall in Himachal, which is pushing people to even drug peddling. Third is the.
Don't you think here in Una itself, when we have so much of industrial units, you just mentioned we have bulk drug park scheme also generating so much of employment. So employment should not be a problem, especially for women.
Actually, the drug park is yet to be functional, and the Una district faces an unemployment rate of 9% presently, ma'am. Also, the social structure is changing, ma'am. Now there is nuclearization of families, and there is now influence of social media, peer pressure, the increasing work profile, the work stresses, and the financial worries that are also pushing people to use drugs. Then there are tourism hubs now. For example, people from Israel and even African students are coming in and they are using drugs now. So all these factors are increasing the drug intake in Himachal, and now Himachal is now
That's overall for Himachal.
Yes, ma'am.
Any peculiar reason for your home district?
I believe it is the proximity with the border of Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir.
Any special initiative government or the district administration has taken for that?
Ma'am, there is the Nasha Nivaran app that has been started where anybody can complain about the drug peddlers. The crime and criminal tracking network system has been started. And then there is the setting up of the
What is the Himachal rank in that? In crime and criminal tracking system?
I'm not aware of the exact rank. And then we have started up with the Anti-Drug Enforcement Establishment Agency, which will be autonomous within the state of Himachal and it can work for it. And then we are starting off with interaction with the Mahila, wherein they can also help us in combating the menace of drug trafficking.
Any specific initiative aiming to enhance this interstate coordination?
Yes, now a joint patrol between Punjab, Haryana and Himachal is being started.
Where is their common secretary established? There is something about Una was in news thanks to the WOW this project. Are you aware of this WOW? Something pertaining to women empowerment, or you just mentioned Mahila movements.
Yes, ma'am. I know that the women empowerment schemes are going on really well, and NGOs like the Small Foundation are doing very well in Una, but I'm not aware of this.
What is the brand name for Una products made by self-help groups? Any specific brand name given to them?
Ma'am, I have to read it.
Do we have to read it? This is all for myself.
I want to ask one more question. There is a lot of demand growing in Himachal for legalizing hemp cultivation. As a doctor, what is your stance on it?
Sir, hemp is used in pain alleviation medications and also in some psychiatric disorders. But sir, I don't believe the time is right for legalizing cannabis as a whole, because sir, it will play a lot of parts in eroding our societal and cultural ethos in Himachal Pradesh, sir. Sir, also as is the rate of usage of cannabis is 12% in Himachal, while it is only 5% on a nationwide average, which is very high. So I do not think the time is right to legalize it, and rather sir, we should burn and destroy the illegal cultivation that is happening, sir.
Don't you think that replacing hemp once legalized, it will replace the chemical drugs that people are taking, especially in your district, as you said? So don't you think that it has a less, adverse effect on health compared to the chemical drugs which people are taking?
Sir, certainly the health effects might be less of using cannabinoids, but sir, I believe that usage of any drugs should not be permissible under any situation, sir. And sir, steps should be taken for banning of complete drugs of both types from the district, sir, rather than pushing one in front of the other, sir.
Don't you think that this can really step up the tourism, like in Amsterdam or in Canada? We have seen that there are a lot of people who actually go to these places to ensure that this sort of satisfaction is met, and also Himachal being a tourist hub, this can be an additional attraction to the tourists.
Sir, I believe the natural beauty of Himachal is enough, sir, to pull tourists, sir. Rather, we should focus on improving our tourism infrastructure, sir, rather than using, sir, alternate and unethical things like drugs, sir, to boost our economies.
So they are doing it, and whatever they are doing, is it unethical, the European and the Western people?
Sir, I believe ethicality and unethicality are different for different nations, but sir, because India is a land of culture and heritage, and sir, our cultural ethos are very high, and sir, they are revered throughout the world. So I do not think, sir, it is ethical in India, sir.
One more thing, you said that you read about and you were very interested that why HMT failed. Can you elaborate why HMT failed? What happened? What went wrong?
Sir, HMT failed due to 3 reasons, sir. Titan, timidity, and sir, a laxity. Sir, as per Prashant Pandey, who was a leading researcher on HMT watches who passed away recently, So he said that the economies of scale of HMT were not very good. They were using very good quality Japanese machines, but on a machine on which 30 people could work, only 3 were working. Also, sir, HMT failed to realize that the quartz boom was coming, and they kept on manufacturing mechanical watches. While competitors like Titan, they started off manufacturing quartz watches, sir. Also, HMT was not so very keen on experimenting with designs. It did not take steps to use the youth. And sir, being a public sector enterprise, it failed to match with the private sector competition, and ultimately, sir, it had to be wound down in 2016.
So do you think the public sector enterprises always lag behind when it comes to competition from the private players?
Sir, I think if the public sector enterprises are managed efficiently, they can even pose a very strong competition to the private sector, sir, because the public sector enterprises have a large resources at their disposal. They have good amount of lands and they have the government backing, so they can certainly, sir, compete with the private sector. But efficient administration is required.
Can you give me any 3 PSCs that are really profitable and are doing wonderfully well in last 3-4 years?
Sir, first would be the Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, sir. Sir, then there is the Steel Authority of India Limited, and sir, the third would be the Coal India Limited.
Coal India Limited is doing well.
Sir,
Are they profitable?
Sir, I do not know exactly if they are profitable or not, but sir, they are doing a good job, sir.
That's it.
So us telling you how did it go, how do you feel about it?
I think I should really brush up the current affairs and learn things about the history.
I think he can take down the future.
So you have a very pleasing personality, you are very confident, you create a very good hello effect, right? However, that's not enough, because there has to be the right balance and the right mix of the external facade and you answered the question that I asked you pertaining to your personality, pertaining to your hobbies very well. But I think 3 of us agree here that there are far too many hobbies put. I think you got to work and you can cut down on maybe bring them down. See, because horology really seems like you're very passionate about, so let it be there. Other than that, reading fiction is something which
Can be cut down.
it can be cut down, isn't it? Because you can be cut there. Or else you put one person, one author, or one specific genre that you're interested in, or else anybody can ask anything from fiction and we don't want, right? So stick to horology and maybe blogs.
Yes.
Because you said you're maintaining something.
Yes.
How often are you able to contribute to your blogs?
Ma'am, I write around once every 2 months.
Once every 2 weeks. And have you been consistent?
Yes, ma'am, I have been maintaining it since ma'am, the COVID pandemic.
Okay, alright. So that makes sense because that shows your creativity, that shows your consistency. Hiking is something which many other people will also like, isn't it?
2-3 hobbies in sufficient.
Who was sufficient?
Hiking, blogging, and
Horology. Let horology be on the top, right?
Yes.
And then could be blogging and last would be hiking. How often do you go for hikes?
Ma'am, I go like once every 2 months.
Once every 2
Yes, ma'am, but recently I have not had the time.
And also, you can get caught geography में वहाँ पे
Yes.
कौन सी लेक थी, वहाँ कौन सा मंदिर था, because people would know Himachal very well,
Yes.
isn't it? So I think this is something.
And also, मुझे लगता है कि
Because your
hiking
answer
और
was very
trekking में
ambiguous in that, कि base camp on base camp. Your
हाँ.
answer was very vague.
Very vague. You didn't know the name of the villages. And lot of
Starting
attractive
point.
Yes.
isn't it? So you're very good when it comes to critical thinking. When it comes to deducing certain things, you're fantastic. Whereas when it comes to factual things, you got to brush it up because I think there's going to be equal weightage to everything.
Yes.
Right? So that's an area. I heard you say ma'am and sir far too many times when you're communicating. Not needed.
Yes.
If you eliminate that, your vocabulary is very good, your choice of words is excellent, your tempo is very nice, right? So just try to eliminate all these paraphernalias which you tend to add up to while you're communicating. Okay? No matter who has asked you the question, please try to maintain eye contact with all the panel members. That's also very important. It has been one-to-one.
Yes.
With each one of us, it has been one-to-one. So those are my observations, but I think you make a very promising candidate, right? Just work on that looking right? And you're a doctor, you're used to remembering things,
Yes, ma'am.
isn't it? So
I just need some compilation of the correct
we'll give you.
information.
We'll help you.
provide.
with that. Don't worry about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Your observations.
Yeah, I mean, ma'am has more or less covered everything. So you need to brush up your current affairs and a little bit on the HP. Ma'am will tell you better about that part. And थोड़ा आई फेल्ट आदित्य आपका ना जो स्टैंस है ना वो बहुत ज़्यादा फर्म है किसी कई चीज़ों पे और देयर इज सम फैक्चुअल प्रॉब्लम एज वेल एंड यू शुड अवॉइड explicitly naming or explicitly mentioning controversial issues like Khalistani said. I mean, there was no need to mention Khalistan in this NSME because that can lead your interview elsewhere. Attack on Golden Temple. The selection of words here. That was very pro one community.
Yes.
We should avoid. Republic Day incident. Khalistani flag was raised, so I was not very happy with that answer. And you should know the issues like Manipur issue inside out. You should know about the Maiti community. And the violence has spread to Delhi also. There was clashes between the students of the communities yesterday evening. So you should be aware of that newspaper at least एक दिन पहले तक का, if not that day, आपको बताना चाहिए. Then you mentioned somewhere that मैं मिस कर रहा हूँ मैं लेकिन I will mention somewhere that a friend of mine told me कि वहाँ पे CRPF का ऐसा है something to that extent. वो नहीं आपने ऐसा नहीं बोला. You have to be very specific and you have to take the instance very clearly.
It was lot of like layman's perspective. Lot of layman's perspective. You know, they must be looking for, the panel would look for some keywords.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I have not gone through it entirely with me, so that is why I have.
So I think you were very thorough with your medical part of your thing, but GS, when did you start preparing for your?
For my interview?
No, for your whole journey.
When I started in third year.
In third year.
I actually also gave the UPSC interview this
You
year.
did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
When is your final year?
On 12th.
Have you taken interview previous ones?
Ma'am, the mock interview, yes, ma'am, I have been to mock interviews.
And how did DC's role? I wasn't too satisfied with the answer. You know, building of hospitals and all those things.
That point is also I have to be a little more specific on that point. And I was not satisfied, although I mean, ma'am would tell it better that the proximity of Punjab and J&K is hitting hard. Kangra is also closer to Punjab and and even Chamba is close to both Punjab and J&K. You emphasize like if 5 reasons you gave for the drug problem, 3 were the golden percent in proximity to Punjab and J&K. He has to build a better answer. It cannot be around.
What is the exact reason that
Ma'am will tell.
It is the historical reason. Pune has been a part of Punjab,
Yes, ma'am.
and the culture is very much influenced with the and it is not unemployment. It is the lack of the skill development. Besides the fact that it is a hub for small medium enterprises, but local communities are not being upskilled. So as a result, they have been diverted. So there is a supply also, easily availability of the drugs also, but there is a strong demand also. Because our culture is less of Himachal, more of affiliation and identification with the Punjabi culture. So it has a very deep historical roots.
ठीक है, otherwise you are good. You have excellent communication, as ma'am said. You are a very pleasing personality overall. You are a good personality. एक eye contact maintain करके रखिएगा. You should look across panel. Although you should focus on the person who has asked you the question, but a little glance at the rest of the panel members. Keep them.
Initially आपने किया था,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
just started.
Ma'am,
बीच
okay,
में
ma'am,
जैसे जैसे क्वेश्चंस का वो बढ़ता गया, you lost it. आपकी strength है that you are very brief and precise. आपकी strength है that you give that self-reference examples like your wearing HMT watch, or you talked about example of Dr. Nipul Jiru. So that was supporting your stand. That is your strength. But here, as far as I think your stand on this cultivation. Like anything which is going against the government decision, at least take a moderate kind of a stand.
बहुत hard था कि उसको भी burn कर देना चाहिए.
What rigid is as if you are against the system, then they will not make you the part of the system. That is. And I really like your answers related to your degree part, the discipline and diagrams. So, and your hobbies, you were thorough with. But yes, and here when we were talking about National Security Act, Sir, communication, I personally felt that little pause in your answers will give you better insight. कई बार आपके आंसर्स में ऐसा लगता है कि इट इज़ ऑल आर्टिफिशियली आर्टिकुलेटेड और एक स्पीड में बोल रहे हो एज इफ आपने उसकी रोट लर्निंग की.
थोड़ा मैकेनिकल लगती है वो चीज़ ना. So I think ma'am, he can take a little pause before starting with the answer, rather than being very prompt. He'll probably take a half a second.
और जो सर का मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग का क्वेश्चन था, आपने पहले ही उसमें हथियार डाल दिए कि कहीं वो डिटेल में प्रोविजंस पूछ लेंगे. एटलीस्ट आप उसमें ऐसे जा रहा था that you have given a very small. आप थोड़ा सा ट्राई करते कि सर पूछ रहे हैं आपसे कि what is this act all about? Just elaborate what is this act all about? You study. आप UPSC aspirant थे, तो you studied in security. But besides all this, I tell you, your home district should be on your tips. Mark my words, Rachna Sharma ma'am is there in the panel. She's going to drill you on your though I understand that आपका duration या stay बहुत कम रहा होगा उस बात में.
मैं वैसे रहते
नहीं but from green corridor it is in budget. Green corridor, industrial corridor, it is in budget speech. Budget speech में we talk about this electric vehicles policy. Though I'll ask Vijay to share all the details in that. Even hydrogen, green hydrogen projects. So go through the latest budget. There also you will find. And dragon cultivation, I'll share the topics. The group is there. Baltran Park, you were aware of. But green corridor, they will definitely going to ask. There is a food park also already operational.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Una is going to be very soon a cluster. Or otherwise also because since 50 CM belong to Una, so, and you are from that same district, they will drill you a lot of this. Prepare your district profile very well. Una issue of skewed sex ratio, why it is so, it's what all district administration has done about it. और Una लोअर हिमाचल से आता है थोड़ा biasness लगती है, लगता है कि Una district neglect हो रहा है. Upper people they don't consider कि Una is a part of Himachal. Historical name of Una. जब आप prelims point of view से HS में district profile पढ़ती है ना, history and legislative, administrative, everything. Just revise this. Rest she'll share the details.
एक आई एम श्योर आपने वो प्रिपेयर किया होगा आंसर. आपसे ज़रूर पूछेंगे कि आप डॉक्टर हो और आप सिविल सर्विसेज में क्यों आना चाहते हो. 100%. आप आई एम श्योर मॉक इंटरव्यूज में पूछा भी होगा आपसे. आई पर्पसली बेस्ड ऑन दिस क्वेश्चन बिकॉज आई नो दिस इज अ वेरी ऑब्वियस क्वेश्चन दे would have already asked.
He said मुझे पता ही नहीं था ग्रेजुएशन से पहले.
शिवा मैम asked.
सर वही मेरा आंसर था कि ग्रेजुएशन में आके इनको और पता चला फिर कोविड में पता चला कि कुछ से उससे ब्रॉड डाइवर्सिटी अपॉर्चुनिटी.
अदरवाइज आप रहे कहाँ हैं? से रिलेटेड नहीं होंगे.
हम एक्चुअली पहले चंडीगढ़ रहते थे, फिर साथ में जीरो पर शिफ्ट हो गए.
अच्छा, सो योर फादर डज ही वर्क फॉर हिमाचल गवर्नमेंट और बेटर?
वो प्राइवेट में काम करते हैं चंडीगढ़ में. मम्मा भी चंडीगढ़ में काम.
ओके, बिकॉज़ रिजन सर्वे सो आई थॉट probably he works for the government.
I think Nipun was Vipin के बैचमेट थे शायद. नहीं.
Any other questions that you have?
बात तो कि तो यूपीएससी वाला तो नहीं मेंशन करना ना वहाँ पे बिल्कुल.
मुझे नहीं लगता.
अगर वो पूछेंगे वैसे तो कोई मेंशन नहीं है डायरेक्ट. अगर पूछे डायरेक्टली जब बाई चांस पूछते तो मैं मना कर दूँगा. इसे यही सोच रहा था कि
नहीं फिर मना नहीं करना है. कैन ऐसे प्रिपेयर मना नहीं करना है. फिर कई बार गैप ईयर को जस्टिफाई करना होगा.
वैसे गैप ईयर तो सानी 22 में खत्म हो गया.
अब तो पूछेंगे ही नहीं. यदि पूछेंगे तो फिर मना क्यों करना.
आपने कहीं लिखा ही नहीं होगा कैसे.
और दूसरा कि जैसे मैं उतना भी रहा नहीं हूँ तो अगर वो ऐसे पूछ रहे हैं ऐसे तो वो थोड़ा सा मुझे लग रहा है.
बोलो we have to stay wherever my father's job was. He was the sole breadwinner and we always stayed with us as a family and we were close intimate. So we stayed wherever my father's job was. That should be satisfactory.
सॉरी वैसे भी अगर एसडीएम भी लोगे तो उन्होंने थोड़ी पोस्टेड होगी
अच्छा ये उसके बारे में पढ़िए इतना लोग को लगे इतना कि आप
क्या
पढ़ रहे
नहीं,
हो उसको कॉम्पनसेट भी तो कर सकते हो
एक बच्चे आपने ग्राउंड लेवल और ग्रास रूट एंड ऑल दैट यू हैव रिटन और आपकी फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस जो है वो है एसडीएम, दूसरी है तहसीलदार और तीसरी है बीडीओ. And if you know it, it's the block development officer probably
Which is
works
closest.
So maybe they can ask you like if you're so close to people, then why STM is your first choice, right? So you can always say what you told me that.
थोड़ा और broad area में काम कर सकते हैं.
And I will not be working as one single officer, rather I'll be working as a team and probably leading many officers, so that gives me a better opportunity or a larger opportunity to make the impact that I want. So something of that sort. Just be very authentic, just be very true.
Yes.
Say what you really mean और please अपने national, international और regional उसको करो. अगर कहीं कुछ चूक रहेगी तो उसकी वजह से otherwise you are one of the most promising candidates who will make it.
all the best.
Stay in touch and we will ask Aaditya ma'am to share all the missing, हाँ जो भी details हैं वो मैं मैम से दूँगी. Please share your email ID.
हाँ जी.
ऐसे तो होगा.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.